Alright, so welcome to the show. It is so hot right now. It's the weirdest thing. Like earlier today, it was so cold and now I'm literally sweating, and I don't know if it's because I just went up the stairs or because it's actually really hot outside. Today it is September 4th. Yes, 4th. Let me see if I can just pull up the weather, because I think it's maybe because I just ran up the stairs, because it wasn't that hot before. And of course, you know, my Wi-Fi game's not so strong, so you know what? I'm gonna just keep talking, and when the Wi-Fi comes back, it comes back. So welcome to Parlez-vous, franglais. It's now a new podcast series for myself. I originally planned to do it with a friend, but said friend has gone ghost, which this friend is apt to do. So, you know, it is what it is. He suggested that we do it together like maybe 2 or so years ago, way before podcasting was ever a really big thing. He suggested it because I used to send him all of these clips that I used to make for different projects and say, hey, listen to it, see what you think about the French. And he would listen to it and then he'd tell me what I thought, and if I had to re-record it, I would. And yeah, he hasn't been as in touch or as communicative as he used to be. But, you know, one girl on Twitter, she just said, you know, I'd love to have a podcast, but I need a podcast host. I need a co-host with me. And, like, I thought potentially she and I could be a co-host together, but then I was like, we don't know each other that well. We kind of just know each other on Twitter. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to get to know people on Twitter, but I think when you have somebody that you kind of have a good rapport with already. Okay, so I'm just checking the weather now. It's just coming through. So it is 21 degrees Celsius. Or Fahrenheit, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know where you're watching from, so I'll give both, but I'm a Celsius kind of girl. But yeah, definitely not that hot. So this is due to me running up the stairs, so don't mind me. Yeah, so I'm gonna just do a quick intro podcast. This is gonna be the English version. I'll do the French version later. I have a really busy day today, actually. I have Pilates class. I'm going to the gym afterwards. After that, I'll be free, but you know, I wanna at least get as much of a workout out as I can. As you can tell, this podcast is going to be a little all over the place until I kind of get my structure down, but I think I like that about this podcast. It's going to be a little bit off the cuff. It's going to be a little bit random, and for people who know me in real life watching this, thank you so much for being here. For people who are new, thank you again for being here. I'm grateful for anybody who really comes and interacts with me as a person. I've always been interested in sharing my voice, sharing my thoughts. I used to do community radio back in the day, and these days I've been more doing just audio work off and on, and it's not as much as it used to be, and this is an opportunity to kind of get my voice out there. Once upon a time, I actually thought I was going to be a radio host or co-host, and I don't see my life going in that direction anymore, but at least if I can do this for fun, why not, right? So anywho, yeah, so this friend of mine, he reached out to me about 2 years ago and said, hey, let's start a podcast. And I was like, I don't want to start a podcast. And he's like, no, let's do it. And he asked like so many times, and I kept saying no. And then we kind of stopped talking, not for that, but he was just busy, right? And so afterwards I said, okay, now at this point in my life, I'm like, okay, everybody's starting a podcast now. I might as well just join the train. And I messaged him, I'm like, hey, let's start a podcast together. This was August 9th. I'm looking at our messages right now. Or no, okay. August 9th was when I sent him like all the questions and stuff of what I wanted to do with the podcast. But like earlier than that, probably about a week prior, I said, hey, let's do a podcast together. He's like, sure. I said, do you use Skype a lot? He's like, yeah, I use Skype a lot. I said, okay, I'm going to message you on Skype, and we're going to meet this Sunday, and we're going to record the first podcast. Tell me how this guy, I messaged him at the exact date and time I said I was going to message him, and we were going to connect on Skype. My man was not on Skype for like a good 2 weeks. Mind you, this is the person who told me he's always on Skype. And so I'm just on Skype now because I put all my notes in there of how I was going to introduce the podcast. And I think it's funny that apparently he was on a week ago and he never responded. Okay, no problem. So, if anybody wants to have some fun with this podcast, I want you to type "boo Manuel" in the comment section below. Okay, I'm trying to be serious. I'm trying to be serious here. Okay. I have a very serious, very formal, very reserved personality, but I'm a clown on the inside. It's like God put Mr. Freeze on the outside and the Joker on the inside. Not with any villain-like tendencies, but just personality-wise. And it's kind of fun. So, yeah. You know what's funny? I always get annoyed with podcasters when they do a podcast and they start talking for like 20 minutes and then they don't introduce the podcast. And what do? My first podcast? I just start talking on random little rabbit trails and I don't introduce the podcast. So enough about me and Manuel, enough about TikTok, enough about whatever else I was talking about earlier. Let's get into this. So I'm going to use my phone just for notes. So, welcome to the Du Parlez Franglais podcast. This will be a bilingual podcast with your host, Tamarah, or Tamarah in English. So I'll be discussing various aspects of life, news, and culture in French and in English. So I hope you enjoy the podcast and stay for the ride. Ideally, I'd love to have this podcast posted on YouTube and all podcasting platforms. Stay tuned for more information as that comes along. I will not be reading the French because this is really going to be a quick bite-sized podcast, and we'll do the French version a little later. All right. So in this episode of the podcast, I thought, why not just introduce myself? Why not just talk to you, share who I am, what I'm about, all that good stuff. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about my French language journey. I'm a native English speaker. I'm learning French. And I'm currently at a C1 level of French. So that's like getting to the advanced level of French there. Yeah. And I haven't decided yet exactly what direction this podcast will go into, but I thought, you know what, the best thing I can do is try, right? All right, so let's get into these questions. I'm going to go really quick, because I said, I kind of have myself on the go here. Actually, before I start, let me turn off some of these alarms I have on, so they don't interrupt this podcast. But once I'm done these questions, we're going to go. All right. So, what are 3 adjectives that people use to describe my personality? Eclectic, reserved, giving. Eclectic, I tend to march at the beat of my own drum. Reserved, I can be reserved when you first get to know me, but when I'm comfortable with you, we can have fun. And, oh god, I forgot the last one. I didn't write down these answers, guys, so, it's cool. In giving. So I like to consider myself a very loving, giving person. I'm very giving of my time, my attention, my finances. Obviously there's boundaries, but, I like to think that, I show love to the people in my life who I really care about. All right, next question. Who's the person that makes you laugh the most out of your family and friends? That's a good question. I have like 3 people in my head right now who really, really just make me laugh. I have my brother, my younger brother. He doesn't talk much, but when he does decide to open his mouth and say some stuff, he definitely make you crack up. My niece, sometimes the things that she says, like, I don't even think she's necessarily trying to be funny. She's just trying to learn as a kid, just learning about life in the world, and sometimes her perspective on things is funny. And just her learning different words, learning new ideas, it can be a really fun experience, and I'm glad to be a part of that. And yeah, her little gaffes and stuff make me laugh. And then I would think my friend Antoine. He's been helping me in the back, behind the scenes for some of my videos that I've done with French, with some of the descriptions and stuff, and he helped me translate some of the questions for the French part of this podcast, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, he's kind of funny too. I sometimes wonder if it's a bit of the language barrier, just the way he communicates. He's completely fluent, well, not completely fluent, but pretty much fluent in English, but sometimes the way the French comes out when he's translating what he's thinking and saying it in English, sometimes it comes out as funny, and sometimes I think he's just a genuinely fun and funny person too. So that's 3 people. Sorry, I can't pick one. Don't ask. How would I spend my ideal day? I would spend it by myself in my room doing what I want to do. What is doing what I want to do? That could be reading, that could be watching YouTube, that could be talking to my friends, that could be writing, planning social media posts, like that kind of thing. I'm in the zone. That's what I like to do. And I'm looking forward to the day when that can be my life, like, all the time. What else? Where do I live? I live in Canada. I live just outside of Toronto, Canada. I love it here. It's great. It's been a great experience. It's been a great life, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know, I've been noticing, like, especially in the climate these days, like, people. I'm looking down at my phone, by the way, in case you're wondering where's she looking down at. Yeah, you know, people tend to get so upset these days at America and at Canada and at the way things are here. And yeah, there's problems. Yeah, there's bad things that happen here, but I'm always of the opinion that it could be worse, and it's not as bad as it could be. While there's definitely still things that I don't love about my country, all in all, it's an amazing place to live, and I haven't found anywhere better. And if I do, I'm out of here. But for now, you know, I love my country, and so far my country's been good to me. So I'm definitely looking forward to what's to come. Oh yeah, so the question, what do you like best about where you live? I like the opportunities here. My family's from Jamaica, and with them in their educational system, at least when my parents were growing up, like, if you make one mistake, your life is pretty much over. Like, I have an aunt. She's alive. Very smart, very book smart, very mathematically inclined. Unfortunately, she got pregnant in school. Once you get pregnant in school, you have to leave school and you have to raise your baby, and there's not really an opportunity to, like, come back and do your thing and study and work and better yourself. Like, you miss out on school, there's not really an opportunity to go back and revisit that. Whereas in Canada, you'll see girls who are pregnant or who have a baby and they get to go back to school. You'll see people who maybe dropped out of school and get to come back and have another opportunity. You'll see people who maybe have had a successful career somewhere else and decide, you know what, I want to do something else in my life, and they pivot, you know. And I really love the fact that there is opportunity here. There's really opportunities. Equality of opportunity is something that's definitely part of Canada, and I really love that. Okay, what do I think is the worst part about where I live? Sometimes there's a lot in Canada that's subtle and below the surface in the way that we engage with each other, in the way that we interact with each other. There are people who complain about racism here in Canada. It is a factor, but again, it's a very subtle factor in the society. There is the fact that, you know, even though we like to pretend like, oh yeah, Canada, it's this place where everybody comes and everybody gets along and all these different people here living together. On the surface, yes. But when you dig deeper, you realize that you literally have a country where everybody comes, everybody gathers around their own people, and there's not really a lot of cultural exchange, there's not really a lot of shared values, there's not really a lot of cohesive collective identity. And, you know, people will make fun and say, oh, Canada doesn't have a culture. But then if you try to find ways to establish culture, then people will say it's racist. So it's weird. There's nuance to Canada and to the Canadian experience. And I would love, actually, to have a podcast where I just talk about Canadian culture and identity and how that all, you know, comes together. Who or what brings the most joy in my life? My friends, my family. I love having all of them around. I don't want to pick between anybody because I know they're all watching. Well, my family's not watching, but my friends. I'm not picking between anybody because I don't want any fights in the comments. What brings me the most joy in life? I think independence, the freedom to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I really love self-sufficiency. I really love independence and just being able to do things that really better me and better my life. That to me is a real blessing. Okay, how do I spend my free time? So I was going to read the next question, but let me read this. How do I spend my free time? You know, I kind of already listed that. I do social media work. I write. I watch YouTube. I'm on social media. That's where I am. If you want to find me, link tree's in the description there. You can follow me around. Who has had the most impact in my life? I definitely have to say my parents. I mean, I spend the most time with them, and I definitely have learned from them and heard from them. Who else? I guess I could say Crystal and Garrison. She runs the site beyondblackwhite.com. I've been following her for about 10 years now, and pretty much read every article, watched every video on YouTube. I've been pretty into it and into her, and I think that, you know, I love learning from her. I've talked about that in my Beyond Black and White videos, so I won't, you know, rehash that here. But yeah, she's also had a big impact on me, but I think my family, in terms of how they live their lives, how they have their standards of living, how they have their ideas, how they have their ways of being and doing, you know. I like the fact that they try to look for the best of life and press for what they can. I mean, obviously, you know, I have my critiques. I won't put them on blast here. But, you know, I do like the fact that they do try to maximize the opportunities that are afforded for them. If I were to be remembered for one thing, what would it be? If I was to be remembered for something, I would want to be remembered for my kindness and my generosity. I'm not always the kindest in how I deliver my communications to people, but if people see the heart in me, then it's nice. However, even beyond those times, you know, I still think that there are times when I can be very kind and very loving and very nice to people, as I get to know them more and more. Next question. What would I buy if money were no object? Ooh. I would buy my own place to live. That would be the thing I would buy. If I could, I'd get out of debt first. Completely eliminate that. I do have a little bit of student loan debt. Not too much, but still some. But if I really had to pick something I would want to buy for myself, I'd buy myself a little bungalow or a little mini farm or something far away from everybody, and just plant vegetables and fruits and grow some animals and, you know, have that as a nice little place to myself. Obviously with running water and Wi-Fi and electricity, but, you know, something that's just for me. It would be great. What else? All right, I'm going to leave this as the last question. Then I was going to go into my language learning, and I probably will. I'll probably just link that video to this one. But for the moment, I'm going to take a break after this recording, because Pilates class is at 5. It is 4:15. And I want to make sure I get to go and work out. Okay. My friend, I feel like I can tell this, because I'm not going to tell when, right? I hope it's okay, Disha. Sorry if I didn't actually ask before I said this. Basically, my friend Disha, she's been talking to me about us potentially going to Quebec and meeting some people over there, you know. We're going to be ideally going to Quebec City. And your girl wanna look good when you go to Quebec City, okay? Okay, my only thing with Quebec City is, like, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of tourists, but, like, could you imagine if I met somebody over there? That'd be so cool. So lit. Anyway, let me reel that back. Yes, so yeah, you guys, seriously though, for real though, I'm getting old. Meeting people will be meeting someone would be nice. So if you have like weight loss tips or like diet tips or whatever, drop help your girl out. I already have one girl on Twitter, and she told me about like drinking Slim Fast. I've been drinking it and I've been full for like so long, so that's been helpful. But I want to do more, you know. I want to do more in terms of like losing weight. Like I realize now that at least with COVID. Actually, the last question was, how was life for you during COVID? It's been good. It's been better than most people's, and I don't say that to brag. I say that because it's true. One, I didn't lose my job. They made my job remote, which, to be honest, it could have been remote this whole time, but you know, the culture of work in Canada and the US and stuff is, you know, it's glorified babysitting. Everybody wants you to be at work, at your desk, so they can see you. If whether you do work or not there is another question, but you know. But at least now I can work in the comfort of my own home, in my own room. I have my family with me. It's been great spending time with them. I can talk to my friends pretty much every day. I have a side hustle that I've been digging a bit more into. Yeah, you know, it's been a blessing. I can't really complain. I've been in good health. Yeah, you know, it's been good. I again, really have no reason to complain here. I'm very, very blessed for all that I have. And yeah, leave me your comments below. I apologize, you know, I don't mean to brag about me and about myself, but you know, I thought it'd be a good intro podcast to kind of just let you know who I am, what I'm about, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk. It's gonna be a fun time. And Manuel, you missed out. Okay, you missed out. It's all good. So I'm going to do this podcast again. The same questions. We're going to do it in French. This is going to be a way for me to practice my French, practice my pronunciation. I'm going to ask my friend Antoine to hit me up and let me know what he thinks of the French once it's done. And if any of you are French speakers, let me know what you think of the French below. If you have any ideal topics, any ideal commentaries that you'd like me to make for this podcast, I'd love to hear it. Please know that, again, it was ideally, the podcast started off being Parlez-vous, do you parler franglais? So it was kind of supposed to be a bicultural experience between French and English. So if we can keep the topics in that kind of frame of mind, that would be good. If you want to hear about something else, you can drop it in the comments and I can do a separate video. Alright, so I'm going to leave this podcast now. Thank you so much for listening to me. I really appreciate it. I got laundry that's just about to finish in the machine. I have Pilates, I have the elliptical, and then I'm going to come back and hopefully do a few more videos with y'all. So, we're going to talk about my French language journey next, and I'm looking forward to having that conversation. Alright. Sorry if this was boring, guys. I'm getting my bearings in front of the camera. Like, I've always been this person. I love how I'm starting a story and I literally just said bye. It's okay. It's okay. We're gonna ignore that, right? Don't worry about it, right? But I've always been this person, like I always send voice notes. Like, shaking the camera there. Sorry, guys. I've always been this person where I've always done voice notes. Voice notes have always been my thing. I love them. They're exciting. And now I'm trying to transition into a in front of the camera personality and voice and communication. It's not as easy. So that's going to be a kind of a weird thing for me to adjust to. But I think once I adjust to it, my personality will shine through and you're going to love me, guys. You're going to love me. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit more goofy in front of the camera, so we're getting a little more comfortable, but you know, I still think there's a bit of a ways to go. Yeah. So all in all, good podcast, good talk. We will see you next time. And I will be talking again in English about my French language journey. I will talk about it in English and on my French language journey. I'll also talk about myself, about me, and about my French language journey in French, so we can get some practice in there. Alright, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time. All the best to you. Have an amazing day. And remember, continue to parler franglais. Bye. Au revoir.